Welcome to a special presentation of Sellout Crowd, Conversations with Coach. I'm Bob Stoops. I'm taking time to talk with my friends and colleagues in the sports world to get caught up and share stories. Today I'm joined by my good friend, my former colleague at Fox Sports, a member of Big Noon Kickoff. We've got Matt Leinart with us here today. Welcome, Matt. Appreciate you taking the time with me today.
Coach, I love you, man. Thanks for having me. Look at you hosting your own podcast, man.
Hey, and I'm representing Big Noon Kickoff.
I see that. I like the shirt, man.
Let me read a little bit, Matt. More importantly than just Fox Big Noon Kickoff, former USC quarterback. I started writing down all your awards. 2004 Heisman Trophy winner, of course, beat me and whipped us in the national championship 2004. But let me read some. I started writing them all down, Matt, and I couldn't fit them on the paper. So I
Oh
just
man.
took it off the phone. But two-time AP national champion, Heisman Trophy winner in 2004, Walter Camp Award winner 2004, Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award 2005, Manning Award 2004, two-time Archie Griffin Award 2003 and 4, two-time first-team All-American, two-time Quarterback of the Year, two-time Pac-10 Offensive Player of the Year, retired jersey at USC, number 11, and in the College Hall of Fame. So that's pretty incredible, Matt. One of the most decorated players ever to come out of not just USC to play college ball. So congrats, and I've loved getting to know you with our work at Big Noon Kickoff.
Well, Coach, you did not need to do the intro like that. But yeah, I mean, look, I appreciate you, obviously, and our friendship, especially over the last couple of years as we work together and just getting to know each other on, a more personal level, just football, but outside of ball and getting to know your family has been awesome. And I value our friendship and our relationship. But yeah, when you say all that stuff, it's just great. It's just great memories. I mean, you coached for a long time, some great teams, some national championship caliber teams, and um, it brings back great memories. My time at SC was something that I'll never forget. Playing on those teams and my teammates, and obviously fortunate enough to win those awards. But as we all know, you don't win those awards without the team and the coaching and everybody that's involved. And as I've gotten older, I've just learn to really value and respect and appreciate all of that. I think as you get older, you really, especially the Heisman, that's what the Heisman is something where when you're in the moment, you're young, it's awesome, but you kind of like, you still have a game to play usually, or you're still in college, but terrific memories of college ball. And I get to talk about it for a living, which is even more, even cooler. I mean, it's pretty awesome.
Well, when you talk about teammates, I was there when you win the Heisman Trophy. You've got Adrian Peterson on one side of you, Jason White, also a Heisman Trophy winner, and your buddy Reggie Bush, our
Yep.
buddy, on the other side. So when you win it with that group of people, pretty incredible. But let's talk about teammates. And I got to know Reggie, of course. We all worked together with Big Noon Kickoff. I spoke with them last week, got to catch up with Reggie Bush. But talk about your relationship with Reggie. And I'm all in favor. I think it's ridiculous he doesn't have his Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I that is the whole topic for another day. I mean, get his Heisman back. We all know this. I've been, I can only do so much, and I know Reggie would like to have that, and that's a process that, he has a lot of people in his corner supporting, and I know one day it'll happen. I hope it's soon, but gosh, Reggie and I mean, gosh, I mean, well, you go back to the field and just the memories that we have together, excuse me, and we created together. And I've said this, and I'm sure you would agree. And you coached, I mean, you talk about AP and some of the guys, and you've coached multiple Heisman Trophy winners and, Sam Bradford, Jason White. Reggie to me is arguably the best college football player of all time, at least top five, and probably easily the most electrifying just with his game, the way he played the game.
I would agree totally.
And to sit back and kind of have a front row seat to that was just awesome. And I always say this with Reggie, like people like I graduated in '05. It's almost 20 years ago, which is crazy. And I have a great job and I'm on TV and I have that type of exposure. But when I talk to people, they remember one person. I think it's fascinating. They remember number five. Probably people would remember Adrian Peterson at Oklahoma because
Yeah.
he had such a like he was just an one of one type player. Reggie Bush is for the next 20 years will still be, wow, you played with Reggie Bush, or that's someone I looked up to when I was 5 years old. Like that's the impact that he's had on football and in particular college football. And it's crazy because it's like you think about it, gosh, it's almost 20 years ago and he still has the same impact almost on today's youth and the next generation, which I think is just incredible. And obviously, he's not a part of Big Noon anymore. He's doing some other stuff, but getting to work with him on TV and obviously you were there too it was just awesome. It kind of was like a full circle moment for us. Play ball, you retire, you kind of go your separate ways, your family, your kids. You just got a lot of stuff going on, and then our worlds were kind of brought back together for those couple of years, which was really cool. And Reggie and I are boys still, and will always be boys.
I agree with you. How electrifying! I don't know that I've ever seen anybody like him, or very few, and even a better guy to work with. But anyway, let's go to Mater D High School. You're a graduate of. Talk about me recruiting you, or OU recruiting you. We were one of your visits, but you decided to go to USC. Why'd you turn me down?
Oh, I love this story, Coach. Okay, so the only reason why I turned you down was because I just couldn't live in Norman, Oklahoma. And no disrespect. Listen. I've been there. I've been to your beautiful compound. I've seen it. But so funny story. So when I'm getting recruited, SC was, and honestly, SC wasn't even really good. Pete. I committed to SC with when Paul Hackett was there, and they had Paul and they had Hugh Jackson, obviously, who's been around for a long time. And Kennedy Pola was the one that was really recruiting me. He was a modern day Monarch as well. So I committed early in the process, right before my senior year, and then that whole staff got fired somewhere around the middle of the
Right,
season. And so I opened up my commitment again. And at that time, it was really kind of SC and Michigan were 1 and 2. I kind of fell in love with Michigan. I knew people on the team. And then you guys kind of came in kind of late with a late push, and probably because I was already committed earlier, but you kind of came in with a late push. And that was the year you guys won the national championship and with Josh Heupel. And
right,
I remember, I'll never forget, and I told you this, and rest in peace to my beautiful mother. But when my family found out you and I think Chuck Long were coming
right.
to our house in Santa Ana and our little shoebox, and you're gonna sit in the living room and you're gonna do the recruiting pitch. My mom was so nervous, and she goes, but and I think she probably thought you were handsome too, Coach. Like she was just like old school. She supported me. She wasn't. My dad was heavily involved in sports. My mom kind of just sat back and was always from afar. I'm here from afar, always if you need me. But I remember she was so excited that and so nervous that, oh my gosh, Coach Stoops is going to be in our living room. I don't know if she made cookies or I don't know what she did, but it was. I think it was you and Chuck and my brother and I, my mom and dad, and we're sitting in our little living room and that was the only in-house visit I ever had, and that was really cool. So then I think I take my recruiting trip during the bowl practices. So you guys are
Right.
practicing for the national championship game, and Teddy Lehman and Dan Cody, which is it's crazy because and Bo Brian Odom, who's now a coach at USC, who it's just full
Right.
circle funny man, kind of took me out and I've told this story, and you know the story about Applebee. So I had already done, or I did I think my USC recruiting trip official was after this, but I remember going there and like the big night we go to Applebee's, and I love Applebee's. I love, Applebee's, Olive Garden, all of those. Like I love it, but I remember laughing because I remember calling my mom and I'd be like, Mom, and I'm in Norman, Oklahoma, Coach. I'm an Orange County kid. Like I'm wearing like Billabong and sandals, and it's 10 degrees in Norman. And I remember just
Yep.
calling her and just laughing like, "Mom, you'll never get where they sent us. We're eating at Applebee's." And she chuckled, and it was just funny. It was just a funny moment. And I've told that story a million times on air. But ultimately, Coach, long story short, I just couldn't see myself in Norman, man.
Yeah.
And that was and ultimately that's the reason why I didn't choose Michigan. I was just like, gosh, I am a mama's boy.
Sure.
I wanted to stay close to home. Obviously, that's it was in UCLA. I didn't really like UCLA at the time. It was SC or kind of bust, and obviously it all worked out. And Pete Carroll was terrific, but I appreciate that because you gave us a great memory as a family, and obviously my mom passing. My mom's been like 6 years now, but that is
Yeah.
a story I'll always remember. How excited my mom was to meet you and that you were coming over to our little house.
Well, I love that. And I do remember your mom making cookies. So
Yes,
we did have cookies. And listen, I grew up in a little shoebox house myself, so I felt very comfortable sitting with you and your family for sure.
that's awesome.
Uh, Talking about Mater D, your son Cole is
Yep.
now playing. Sophomore. Talk about his early success. And is he as tall as you yet? I know he was close the last time I saw you.
Coach, he's close. He's almost 6'4". You know, I'm about 6'5". He's got probably another inch to go, but he's still growing. You know, it's interesting, and you're probably at some point a great person, and we've talked, but a great person to talk to about this is just how you balance, you know, being football and a football coach or a football player and all of that. And also now watching your kids kind of follow in those footsteps and do that. He's a quarterback at Mater Dei. He's super talented. He's got a lot of offers. He's getting recruited. You know, we just got back from Colorado on an unofficial. So we were at that game, which was pretty cool because we had our show there. And then he was kind of he was on the unofficial there because he's getting recruited by Colorado, which is pretty cool. So it's been really, it's kind of just starting, you know, but it's happening. He's he's doing great. He's working hard. He's kind of just waiting for his time. But as a dad, it's really been neat to just kind of try and sit back and just be a dad, you know, and obviously give him advice and you know, I've been him. I've walked in his shoes. I've played at the highest level. I've had a lot of, you know, success. I've also had failures. I've also been through a lot, you know, like good and bad. So I can really be someone for him. But it's interesting, you know, because sometimes, you know, I'm dad and sometimes, you know how it is, you know, kids and teenagers, they don't want to hear it, but, it's
Believe
been
me, I
awesome.
know.
Yeah.
Don't
And I know,
worry, I
you know,
know.
yeah,
I got
I mean,
my boys didn't think I even coached.
you're like guys. I have you know I'm one of the best coaches of all time. I mean like, but it's been really awesome to see the journey, and the journey is really kind of just beginning. Like it really like you know once he kind of starts playing like full time. But you know he's a sophomore, so he'll have a couple years after this. So I'm really just trying to kind of sit back and soak it all in. As you know, they grow up too fast, and he'll be off playing college ball somewhere in a couple years before you know it. So,
Right.
but yeah, it's been really really awesome just to watch him grow and develop and be the young man that he's become.
Well, and he's a right-hander, not a lefty like you, right?
He's a righty and he can run, unlike me. You know me, coach. You were sending blitzes at me all over the place. You know, I was a statue. He can. This whole game has changed, as you know. So a lot of these quarterbacks now can at least
Yeah.
move enough and run enough, and he's a very good athlete back there,
Well,
which has been great, a pleasant surprise because you know he didn't get that from
he
me.
gets that from Josie, your wife. Or yeah.
Right, not from me,
But
that's for sure.
no. Well, listen, and don't stop being a dad. That's the most important thing you can do. But lastly, let's talk about Colorado and the big resurgence of Colorado and Coach Prime and what they're doing. You've been there the last couple of weeks, and are going back in another week. Just talk about what's happening there. I've been really impressed.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be curious to hear your point of view just from a coaching standpoint too. I mean, it's we've never seen anything like it. And the reason why is, well, there's a couple reasons. One, there's no one like Deion Sanders, Coach Prime. There's just no one. And he's been just that special of a type of player person since he was playing. And he hasn't changed. And I think people, what if you grew up watching him or you saw him, like maybe kids or people who didn't grow up watching him are like, well, who is this guy? I'm like, this is how
Right.
Dion's been. He's been flashy. He's been motivational. He's been all that. He's been able to talk the talk and walk the walk. And I think it's been truly fascinating how he's been able to turn this program around just like that. And as you know, with the portal, and it's for coaches now, it is completely different than when you were coaching. Like you didn't have a lot of transfers. You had maybe some. You weren't really turning over the roster every single year without outside of just recruiting and the new class coming in. I think he had 80 something new players on this team, and
Right.
to have the start that he's had and the attention and all that, and for that team and it's a good team. They're going to have some bumps in the road coming up. I mean, there's no
Sure.
doubt, but that's a good team, and it's been fascinating to see. Like we've been there, and it reminds me a lot, Coach, of when I was at USC, and Pete embraced Hollywood. He embraced celebrity.
Right.
He embraced all of that. Open practices, come, let's party, let's do this. As long as the team was focused and could practice and do that, and we did. We didn't have the camera crews. We didn't have social media. So we didn't have a lot of this stuff. So the attention was a little bit different. But when I was on the sideline last week with Cole, and even just the shows, I'm just like, this is Hollywood in Boulder. Like this
Right.
is what he's making this. But it's smart. It's recruiting. It's, hey, you can come play for me, and this is what I'm going to provide for you. I'm going to develop you. I'm going to teach you. I got a great staff, and we're going to win a lot of games. Like it's been fascinating. I'm actually curious of your thoughts, Coach, because you're
Yeah.
probably old school and all that, but like this is the new age of college football, and it's fascinating to watch.
Totally agree. I've been impressed. I'm all for it. Few things you said. Deion Sanders is him. That's who Prime is. I don't know him, but I've watched him all these years, and that is who he's been. He shouldn't have to change
Right.
to be a head football coach because the right moral principles are there from what I could see. He reaches his players the way
Yep.
they play for him and the way he cares about them. Impressive to watch the discipline their team plays with, the execution. In particular, I've been incredibly impressed offensively is it Sean Lewis, right?
Yeah,
The offensive
he's
coordinator,
been phenomenal. Yeah,
former head coach at Kent. But they got great play design.
they
And
do.
Shadir Sanders, the quarterback's been incredibly impressive. So all of it, you have to give it to him. I'm with you. And why shouldn't he do it his way?
Right.
And in the end, he's proven it to be correct.
Yep.
So good for him. Good for Colorado. Good for Joel Klatt, former alum that we all
Oh
know.
gosh, he's actually been pretty good, Coach. You know about the production calls and the group chats. Obviously, you're on still. It is. I will say this: it's been decades since Colorado's been relevant.
Right.
And it's such a beautiful, incredible place. So I'm happy for him. And he's just like, listen, I hope he stays for a couple years, and who knows what Coach Prime's gonna do, but enjoy it now, right? I mean, it's a special time to be in Colorado. But yeah, Joel's like a kid in a candy store, man. He is just so giddy. It's so funny to see.
I love it. Well, listen, Matt, I appreciate you joining me here today for this segment, and looking forward to seeing you this weekend.
Yes, sir, Coach. I love you, man. It's great to talk to you. We'll see you in a couple days, buddy.
All right, Matt. Appreciate you, buddy.
See you, man.
That wraps up this installment of Conversations with Coach. Follow and subscribe to this channel and visit selloutcrowd.com to find out about upcoming programs.